Hi, teacher and classmates. I'm Leila Yolima Escobar, and this is the first assignment for my class, Autonomous Learning Environment, called My Learner's Profile. Taking into account my conception about learning, I consider that learning is an important tool in my life. I believe that it is necessary to learn new concepts every day. In this way, I can develop knowledge and skills. Learning brings me happiness, helps me to become more successful with my family, at work, and in my community. Through learning, I can increase my confidence and self-esteem. I can show my talents and potentials, and also it is a tool to economic success. According to my strengths, I consider that I am a hard worker in my tasks. I am an independent woman in my life. I try to be optimistic in each situation around me. I'm punctual and honest. I like to learn something new every day, and I try to be a good communicator with people around me. On the other hand, I have some weaknesses that is necessary to improve and correct, such as I'm very strict and rigorous with my students. Sometimes I push people too hard. I'm angry easily in difficult situations. I'm not relaxed because I'm always hurry up. And sometimes I judge people without listening to them. And finally, I'm bluntly and unloving. According to my resourcefulness to find information and use it in a learning context, I consider that it is important to use different strategies and tools to find information, such as books related to my subjects, technology, online information, library, articles, and sharing information with my classmates. Also, it is necessary to get organized, identify alternatives, and generate ideas with this information. In this way, we can solve problems, find innovative solutions, and show creativity and imagination. Taking into account that intrinsic motivation refers to motivation that comes from inside myself rather than any external reward such as money or grades, I could say that my intrinsic motivation is determined because I enjoy an activity and see it an opportunity to explore, learn, and actualize my potential. Also, I perform activities for satisfaction or pleasure. Talking about my planning skills, I see it as an important and useful tool in my personal and professional life. In this aspect, I need to dedicate more time and effort to complete a task. For me, it's very difficult to concentrate on one activity for a long time. I have to organize my personal time to carry out responsibilities, developing schedules and timetables with clear and specific deadlines, and establish priorities differentiating between urgent, important, and unimportant tasks. According to my management of stress and relaxation, I consider that it is a difficult aspect for me because I feel anxiety with a difficult task. And of course, it affects my mind, body, and behavior in many ways, such as headache, irritation, and bad temper. So it is very important that I develop some relaxing activities such as yoga, take a deep breath, and practice on sports. In this way, I can relax and enjoy my professional and personal life. When I make a mistake, I don't feel frustrated or failed. On the contrary, I consider that it is an opportunity to learn from my mistakes and correct them. I consider that it is important to receive positive feedback from my parents, teachers, and classmates and show self-confidence to face the failure, but the most important is to believe on myself. According to my competence to troubleshoot situation, I consider that in general I'm a calm person and I try to handle the problems, listening and looking for a solution, controlling irritations situations in my life. But the most important is to stop talking about my problems and find and start to thinking about solutions. Taking into account my competences to work with others, I consider that I evidence good communication, respecting others, autonomy, dedication, and effort effective and productive human interaction. I try to motivate people around me, but on the other hand, I have to improve in the patience with others, increase my sense of humor, and the ability to trust in others. Taking into account my beliefs in successful, in general, I believe on my abilities and skills, showing effort and dedication to improve them. I have high aspirations, dreams, and goals. I consider that social persuasions is very important, but I don't affect for it. My emotional states are not variable and don't affect my commitment to the goals. I don't feel frustrated by the error, and I show control on my own learning autonomy. On the other hand, taking into account technology, I consider that it is an important useful in autonomy and in my personal and professional life. But taking into account my personal experience, I consider that it is necessary to increase its use with my students and improve my abilities to handle technology knowledge. Sometimes I avoid it and don't use too much in my classes. Taking into account the rationally, I took into account some aspect in my learning profile that was self-efficacy, that according to Bandura in 1994, it refers to people's belief in their capabilities to success in a particular situation. It influences on how people feel, think, motivate themselves, behave, or feel. Another important concept is autonomy. Autonomy, according to Holk 1981, defines learner's autonomy as the ability to take shares of one's own learning and have responsibility for all decisions concerning all aspects of this learning. Learners play an important and active role in their own learning process, generating new ideas. Another important aspect was andragogy. In this aspect, Knowles, 1984, emphasizes that adults are self-directed and expect to take responsibility for decisions. They are more interested in learning subjects that have relevant to their job or personal life. Another important aspect was intrinsic motivation. In this aspect, I took into account to Ryan and Deci 2000 that they express that when a learner are intrinsically motivated, are more competent, creative, and more coherent, and apply their knowledge more often than others and show higher academic results. On the other hand, taking into account self-directed learning, um, I took into account to Catherine Thornton 2010. She expressed that in order to be successful learners, we'll have to engage in independent study to master a language. She proposed 4 steps for a self-directed learning to engage in an effective learning process: planning, implementing, monitoring, and evaluating. On the other hand, taking into account self-regulated learning, I took into account to Chong 2005 that defines self-regulated learning as an active process where learners set goals for their learning and then attempt to monitor, regulate, and control their learning process.